Hey guys, this is Josh here with Trillium Wild Edibles, and today I want to show you guys the 3 different types of dry boxes that I've used over the years while preparing my medicinal plants for teas or tinctures. Okay, now here you can see I've got 3 different types of dry boxes out, and these may not actually look like they're dry boxes, but they work. Okay, now if you're anything like me, you probably have a pet at home. And one thing that means is you've got cat hair or dog hair flying everywhere around your house. And an issue with that is whenever you're drying your plants for medicine, whether it be teas or tinctures, you're probably going to be getting that in your plants or on your plants if you don't have a way to store your plants as you're drying them. So it's very important that you have a controlled environment to dry your herbs in. I've been harvesting plants for food and medicine for quite a few years now. And whenever I first started, I actually didn't have a whole lot of plants that I gathered at one time that I needed to dry. So I didn't really need a lot of space. And if you're anything like me, whenever you're starting out, you probably won't have a lot of plants that you're gathering all at once trying to dry just because it's kind of overwhelming at first. Okay, so I want to kind of talk about the pros and the cons of using something like a computer case to dry your plants in. The first and most important thing that I want to get out of the way is space. It's very limited. As you see here, it's pretty small form. It's not very large. Also, it takes a lot of work to set these things up, to strip everything out of the inside, get rid of the cages that hold the drive bays and all that. You have to get rid of all that and you have to gut the thing completely. That can be kind of tricky. Okay, now you're probably going to notice there's a cut right here and there's 2 screw holes right here as well. These weren't originally here on this computer case. This computer case had a really, well, pain in the ass way to be taken apart. So I decided I took a Dremel and I made a cut right here, took a drill and a tap, found screws that fit the tap, and I drilled and tapped these 2 holes. So now I can just slide this off, just like that, and very easily I can check on what I had on the inside. And you may be able to see here how this is completely open all the way through. That's extremely important for air ventilation. Alright, and here you guys can see the inside and the top of this PC case and how I rigged this up. You can see how I just kind of utilized some of the holes and spaces that were already there. This hole I drilled. Had to drill a couple holes in there. And this is just some artificial sinew that I've got hanging down from some bank line. Just really cheap, quick, and easy. Just something that I had on hand. You don't have to get too elaborate with your dry boxes by any account. Essentially, whenever I had to tie my plants in, I had to tie them in like this. I ended up finding myself being all up in its Kool-Aid, and I really didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to have to be all up in this tight space. It was really hard on my neck. It was really hard on my back. So this kind of has its limitations. It's got its good things. It's got its bad things. Alright, then after a year or two of me using the smaller PC case, I ended up deciding enough was enough. Enough hurting my back, enough hurting my neck. I'm moving on to something bigger and better so I can get more plants and I can make more medicine for myself and my family. So I was at the flea market one day and then I found this old food dehydrator. It had a great price on it for $15. It looked like it had been lightly used maybe once or twice. And I thought, hey, sweet, this thing's got 5 shelves. It's got plenty of room in here for me to dry plants. And it's also a food dehydrator. So using a food dehydrator to dry your plants in can actually be pretty beneficial because it's multifunctional. So that's something to kind of keep in mind and may interest you. Now, one downside about using a food dehydrator, or one thing some people might not think of, is the cord. You can see on this cord, I still have the zip tie on it because I actually haven't plugged this in since I bought it. Alright, now the biggest reason to not plug in your food dehydrator whenever you're drying your plants for medicine is just because the excess heat distributed by the food dehydrator will actually damage or ruin the medicinal qualities of your plants. And that's something you really don't want. If you're trying to make your own medicine, you want the best quality that you can possibly get. Now, a food dehydrator such as this one has several cons. First and foremost, individual shelves that you've got to deal with. To stack plants on one of them, you've obviously got to take them all out. And that's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, and maybe something that some people don't want to deal with. However, not every food dehydrator is made this way, so, it may not affect you too bad. And one of the good things about using a food dehydrator such as this is all of these nice little ventilation holes that already come installed. Another good thing about a food dehydrator such as this is it also allows you to control the ventilation at the bottom. This one has this nice little turny dial thingy that is kind of a pain. It kind of likes to fall out if I turn it too much. If the air is really dry, you probably want to keep these closed. If the air is really hot and humid, you want to keep these open. Alright, and here you can see this big blue Sterilite tote. Now this may look pretty silly, it may look pretty ghetto. It is. But it works. The thing I really like about this is its size. I actually thought about making a video on this, but I thought there's no point in making a video of grab a tote, cut some holes in it, and put some strings in it. This is by far one of the easiest and cheapest dry boxes that anybody could make. This is an 18-gallon tote, so there is plenty of room inside this thing to hang full plants even, for that matter. And that's one of my favorite things about it, and that's actually what I use this for. But as you can see, there's plenty of space inside here to hang plants. There's plenty of space on both sides for plenty of ventilation. And that's one of the things you really want to keep in mind is your plants got to have plenty of ventilation so they don't mold or mildew on you. This was really easy for me to set upright like this on a table and then just tie the plants in while I'm sitting in a chair. Really comfortable. I've got plenty of space to work inside. I don't have to worry about my cat getting in if I want to stop and take a break. I can then take the lid, put it on top. That way I can keep my cat out of my plants because my cat really likes to eat any plant he sees for some strange reason. If you're making a tote dry box, do not do this. Don't do it. But I wanted to show this to you guys so you guys kind of know what not to do whenever you're making a tote dry box because, like I said, this is just going to hurt your neck and back and probably give you arthritis in your neck, and you really don't want that. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. If you want to learn more about wild edible plants or wild medicinal plants even, make sure to subscribe.